Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this episode, we're headed off the beaten path to a place called Kushimoto where we'll stay at a lodge on Honshu's most southerly point. The scenery at the coast is spectacular and we were lucky to catch a beautiful sunset over the Pacific Ocean. But before we get into it, please help us grow the channel by giving the video a like down below, and if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and the little notification bell so you don't miss any future episodes. Let's go.
Good morning. We are leaving Wakayama today. We're on the move. We're heading down south. We're still going to stay in Wakayama Prefecture, but we're starting to branch out a little bit and explore the southern tip. And when we get there, we're going to show you why we came to this place. A little bit obscure, I think, but we'll see when we get there. So Nicole's downstairs at the bookstore. Let's go down and find her. I don't think we've actually shown you our hotel yet. It's kind of fun. I kind of like it, and it's because it's a little bit odd. It's a little bit old school feeling to me in some way, even though newer hotels also have this kind of setup. But I don't know, this place is maybe just a little bit older, so it has that older feeling. But the hotel is in a tower connected to this little shopping complex, which is about 5 floors, and then the reception for the hotel is on the 5th floor, and I'm down on the main floor now of this complex, and there's a little elevator room here and the main entrance for the hotel. But then over in the corner here is a door into this complex. And this is the massive bookstore. It's like 2 stories, and we'll go in there in a second. Just a crazy amount of books in there. And then there's some restaurants. It's a restaurant here. And the Family Mart, which is amazing because that kind of feels nostalgic, because the very first hotel we ever stayed at in Japan, in Tokyo, had a Family Mart in the basement, and that was my very first experience with a Japanese convenience store. And ever since then, Family Mart has been my favorite of the many. There's 7-Eleven, there's Family Mart, there's Lawson, there's Sunkist, there's a bunch of different smaller ones, but the main 3 is Family Mart, 7-Eleven, and Lawson, and I love Family Mart. It's amazing. And then when we first got here yesterday, all these Christmas trees were not here. And by the time we went out for dinner yesterday, these were all set up. But I think they're doing a little competition because they have what looks like a ballot box. And I think the idea is you can vote for your favorite tree. And I'm guessing that each store or restaurant in this complex has set up a tree and decorated it, and they're trying to win this competition. If you speak Japanese and can read those signs, please comment down below and let me know if my guess is correct. But here are some of the trees. This one's very festive with its Merry Christmas. I'm gonna guess that this is Family Mart's tree, mainly because the wrapping paper on all these little presents hanging is stuff you can buy in this store. And look, like there's Kit Kat ribbons, Pocky ribbons. And the names of whoever has put these trees are down below. And I just broke the rules. I touched the tree. It's really fun. I love coming down to the lobby here, actually, running over to 7-Eleven and getting a bottle of water or canned coffee in the morning before we go down for breakfast. Which seems kind of weird, doesn't it? But it's what I do. And now I'm just heading up to the 2nd floor. And so up here we have the bookstore. And this is a little
unusual. They still have their Halloween stuff up. Looks like they had a coloring contest with kids to color in all these Halloween scenes. That's unusual because usually you'll find that on November 1st, everything to do with Halloween is gone and Christmas is up, and it happens overnight usually, and it's just crazy. You wake up on November 1st and it's Christmas time, but not here apparently, not at this bookstore. And so up here there's a dental clinic, there's another restaurant, there's a clothing store over here, and then more escalators going up. So yeah, it's a neat little complex attached to the hotel. We don't have to put on our coats or worry about rain or any of that, just to come over here and go to the convenience store or the bookstore if we want, as Nicole is in right now. So let's go find Nicole. I'll show you this bookstore, and then we probably need to finish packing and get out of here. I'm in the bookstore now, and I've just been looking for Nicole, and I have finally found her. This place is huge, and the number of books in here boggle my mind, upstairs and downstairs. But here's Nicole. What are you looking at?
I'm looking at insane origami. Check out what you can make with paper.
Yeah, that's crazy.
This whole section here is devoted just to origami alone. I didn't even know that stuff like this existed, because what I was thinking about was something like this, something basic. I didn't know stuff like this could happen with paper.
Some of those have over 100 steps.
Yeah, one of them I was looking at has 180 steps. I don't think I can do it, but I think I did settle on two that I might be able to manage with some practice. We got simple origami-ish, and then when I graduate from this book, I'm going to move on to my animal book. I love animals, so I'm going to give this a whirl, but I think it's going to be years before I get to the end of this. Years!
I expect that gorilla by Christmas.
Huh?
But I'm really surprised at how many books there are in this bookstore. It's crazy.
The inventory here is unbelievable. Like, I just can't imagine how they can keep track of this many books, and just who's coming to buy all these books.
Yeah, what surprises me is the density of the bookstore.
Yeah.
Like at home we have big bookstores, but there's a little bit more open space. Like you have breaks in all the shelves, and you have areas which are not actually books. So the huge bookstores back home are not completely crammed with books like this place.
And then a chunk of the bookstore at home is devoted to bestsellers, so they'll have 50 copies of one book. Here it's this is one of everything, and I'm like, my god, you can be here for 100 years and you still wouldn't be able to get through everything.
And also at home, a lot of books are front facing.
Yeah.
Like on the shelves, you'll have some sort of stacked where you can just read the spine, but then there'll be a lot where you can see the whole cover.
Yeah.
Here in this section, we're kind of in a magazine section. That's what you see. But when you go to the actual book section, it's just spines.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So let's go get your books. We have to go finish packing. We have about half an hour. We're on the move. We've checked out. We're at the bus stop waiting for the bus. There's lots of buses. Should be here any second. Fingers crossed it's not crazy busy, because we have some bags to lug around with us. And that is a bit of a problem actually. Our main bag is now up to 32 kilograms, which is hella heavy. I don't know what we're gonna do. The two bags that we shipped out of Tokyo were 25 and change kilograms. The bag we shipped from Matsuyama a few days ago, I think was around 22, I'm not quite sure. This is 32, so we don't have a lot of space to juggle stuff around to get this down to weight, which is a bit of a pro tip. We found that EVA Air has a higher allowance than most of the other airlines we've flown in the past. So Air Canada maxes out at 23 in premium economy. EVA Air is 26. So two of our bags are right there on the mark. This one is 6 kilograms over, and the other one hopefully is at least 4 kilograms under. We'll juggle some stuff around. But bus should be here soon, and then we'll be at Wakayama Station.
We made it to the train station. The bus worked out really well. It wasn't crazy busy, so there was enough room to juggle the bags around. And it was a pretty quick trip, only about 4 stops, and then we were here at the train station. Then we had to get tickets. We changed our schedule around a little bit. We decided to leave later than we had originally planned. So we had to get some new tickets, and ticket office was completely empty. I just walked up to the counter and got new tickets booked for the next train. And now we're in the food hall of the department store looking for something to eat for lunch on the train. There's a lot of options down here. This is always a really great place to come. Don't stay right in the train station. They're usually attached to a department store, so you don't have to go for a convenience store meal or whatever like limited options they have right in the train station. You can just go over to the side of the train station usually and go to the basement of a department store, and you have a ton of options. So we're hunting around, take a look at some of the stuff they have here, and we'll show you what we have once we're on the train.
Big buffet breakfast. Do you think a lunch this size is necessary?
Yes, I do. And so do you. So we're all set. We have our tickets, we have our lunch, we have our beverages, which we just picked up at the 7-Eleven here, and now we have to figure out which track we're on and get over there and wait for our train. There's a big board over here. Let's go check it out. That's us, Limited Express, Kuroshio 11, track 4. So now we just have to show the station guard our rail pass and probably our tickets, and he'll let us through his gate, and we'll take the elevator over to our platform. We're on the platform, but we have to now figure out where we need to stand to wait for the train. They have a really good system here where you'll know exactly where to stand for your car. It's written on the floors, but they have different colors and different positions for different trains. So I have to go and figure out exactly which one we're waiting for. All right, I think we're in business. We are on the Limited Express Kuroshio, car number 1. This is the big sign on the ground here that tells us where we need to stand for that car. And every car for this train is labeled along the platform here. And there are other trains that come through this platform, so they also have labels, and they don't all line up. So it's kind of the tricky thing. This one's really easy because the signs have the train name right there in big English letters, but some of them don't. Some train stations, it was all in Japanese, and it was hard to figure out which was which. And some of them also go in different directions on the platform. So depending on which direction you're heading out, the numbers could be reversed. So when the trains are going like one way, then 1 would be 1. So this could be for car number 1, but if the train's going the other direction, then this would end up being the last car on that train. And so that can be a little bit tricky as well, but I think we're good here. Car number 1, Limited Express, Kuroshio, 20 minutes till the train arrives. Lunchtime. The train is super quiet, so we don't want to speak too much, but we will show you what we got.
I went for an eel bowl. It's very, very yummy, and the rice is very well
seasoned.
Yeah, marinated. It's a nice sweet sauce that covers all the rice grains, and the eel is very good, but they only give you very little.
And let me show you what I got. I got a deep fried bento box. It came with pickles, cognac, looks like some kind of like bamboo root, maybe some kind of root here. Not sure what this salad is. These might be soybeans, and some lotus root salad. And I have a shrimp. There's a scallop in here. There's a crab croquette, and I'm not sure, there's a mystery one. And a bunch of rice. I'm gonna go in for one of my pieces. It's a bit of a mystery because I don't know which is which, so let's go with this round one here. I'm gonna guess it's scallop. For one thing, it's a massive scallop. And for a second thing, scallop flavor is permeating my mouth. This is really good. Nice crispy outside and a nice soft scallop inside. I'm gonna chow down on this box and not talk too much and disrupt the whole train here, the whole car. We will catch up with you a little later. The mystery one, it was pork. It was really good. You are done your bowl.
I am.
You plowed through that thing.
That was good. That eel.
Whatever he's saying, everybody sort of perked up, and a few people moved their curtains on that side of the train to look out the window, which is the sea. So I'm curious what he said, but I don't think that's going to come in English. As you were saying,
I chose an odd second course. I chose chestnuts. They're just not any old chestnuts. They're super, super deluxe chestnuts. Look at the size of this puppy. And you just pluck it right out of its home.
Wow. They look pretty epic.
They are epic. They're so fluffy. There's a consistency of a mashed potato, but the flavor of a roasted chestnut. And these aren't even like hot. They're not even like freshly roasted like from the pit. He had them in his little stall. They've been sitting around for a couple hours at least. But they're so delicious. Oh my god.
That is good.
This is a grade A deluxe super chestnut.
Good consistency.
I know.
Nice and soft, but not mushy.
No. And the skin just doesn't stick to the meat at all. Just pop.
Very good.
Good meal.
Yeah, we're pretty much done our ekiben, our train bentos. And we're just going to sit back and relax and enjoy the rest of the trip. Yes, I'm really cold. We have a story to share with you all, but before we get to that, we are going to take a quick bath because we are very cold because we checked into our accommodations here. We've been out for a walk. We watched the sunset, and it was cold as it was going down.
You were dressed like it was 20 degrees.
Yeah, I was still dressed like I was when we were in Wakayama when it was like 20 degrees this morning. But now it's like 14 out there, so it was very, very cold. So a hot bath will be perfect. And we are now having a family bath.
What's a family bath?
So generally a family bath is a private bath. So a lot of accommodations that have public baths, they'll often have baths that you can reserve. Or they'll sometimes close down the public bath depending on how busy they are.
Or how big the establishment is.
Yeah, and let you have a family bath or just a private bath. If you ask for private bath, a lot of times they look at you puzzled, but if you say family bath, then they understand exactly what you mean. That means you want the room privately for whatever length of time, half an hour or whatever the establishment will give you, and then you can go in and use the facility. So in here there's 2 shower stalls and a big bathtub, and we are in here together, so it's family family bath time.
And that's why we were able to film, because you would never ever take your camera in if you did not reserve and film other people. Since it's just us, we knew that it'd be safe to share the facilities with you.
Yes. So this is what the shower room looks like. 2 shower stalls, or they're not really stalls, are they? They're kind of like stools.
They're kind of like prison showers.
And then the bathtub. And the bathtub is still covered. We'll uncover that once we've showered and we want to get in.
Yeah.
So I think we're done talking to you because we're still quite cold, and we'll catch up with you after the bath and fill you in on this whole experience that we've been on since we left Wakayama.
Wow, that was a fantastic bath.
Especially after coming in freezing. Like we were saying before in the bath, it's really cold out there now, and the wind is blowing in off the Pacific Ocean, and I got a chill to the bone.
You were not dressed properly, but I was very
not.
cold too. The bath was so relaxing, and it was just fun to do a family bath because it's a neat way to spend time with one another, with your companion.
It feels somewhat different somehow than having a private bath in our room like we've had on this trip and previous trips. It's been quite a while, many trips since we've had an actual family bath together. So yeah, it's fun to do that, and it was really warming. The bath was so hot, could barely sit in it, and that got rid of that chill.
Yeah.
So the story that we alluded to, the last time you saw us, we were at the train station. We had just gotten off the train coming in from Wakayama, and we got off at a station in a little town called Kushimoto. And just to give you a little bit of context or understanding as to why we came to this small little town, it's to go to an even smaller little place. It's called Shio no Misaki. And this is Cape Shio no Misaki. It's the most southern point of Honshu, the largest of the 4 main islands of Japan. And this is the point of that big, huge island that's the most southerly point.
So that's its claim to fame.
That's its claim to fame. And I feel like these types of places Japanese love, right? Like there's the most northerly point up in Hokkaido of Japan, and they have these various points marked off. And I guess we do that as well. Like we've been to the most easterly point of North America. And so I really wanted to come here. It looked kind of cool. It looked like a fun experience. Only spend 1 night, but it was a bit of a challenge.
It was getting here.
So after a 2-hour and 40-minute train trip, we got off, and then bam, we were at Kushimoto.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was a very comfortable train ride, and the food was very good. But once we got off, we were like, now what?
Yeah, so it is a very small station. They didn't have elevators, so first thing was having to carry this 32-kilogram bag up some stairs to go over one of those sort of passageways that go over top of the train tracks. And we got it up, and then I was just taking the small bags down on the other side when one of the station masters ran out of nowhere and offered to help and take the big bag
and
down.
And we were like, no.
Yeah, I was like, no, it's very heavy, it's very heavy. But I was already mid-step, like mid-stairs with the smaller bags. I couldn't catch him in time.
To tell you don't do it.
Yeah, so he had grabbed it, and then I think he regretted it.
Because he kept saying, so heavy, huff, 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 so heavy.
And then he almost wiped out at the bottom of the stairs. I don't know if he just took a bit of a tumble, but luckily he was able to catch his balance on our bag.
But he totally did not have to do that.
No, that was so
just
nice.
So above and beyond any Call of Duty. That was amazing.
That was amazing. So off to a good start. And then we got out of the station, and I had read that the buses here are a little bit unusual. They're not the standard size bus. They're kind of like a
minivan?
They're a bit bigger than a minivan. They're kind of like a mini bus.
They call them community buses.
Yeah, community buses.
Just not how bussy they are. They're just community buses.
And their schedules are just bonkers. Like they must.
You're not going anywhere.
They must make sense somehow if you understand the inner workings of this little community. But to us, getting off the train at, when did we get off? We caught
2:30, 3:30. Whatever it was, it didn't make sense.
I think we got off at 3:40.
Okay.
Yeah, 3:40, and we had just missed a bus, and the next bus was 2 hours out. So we would have had to wait for 2 hours to catch the next community bus. I don't know how long it would take to get us to where we actually are staying. And I felt like we were going to miss sunset. I really wanted to catch sunset over the Pacific Ocean from the most southerly point of Honshu. And so after realizing the bus was just not going to work, we decided to hop into a cab.
And I guess that was pretty easy.
That was easy.
Yeah, it was a
You
bit.
just told him where to take
Yeah,
us.
it was a bit odd because there was two cabs. One,
Yeah, that's true.
One in front of the other. They're like lined up, and usually you go for the first cab. It seems to be the rule of thumb pretty much anywhere. But then we started to go for the first cab, and then he told us to go to the second cab. So we did do that, and the second cab barely got our bags in the back.
Yeah.
Our big suitcase and
Everything
then our
was
two
covered.
carry-ons.
Everything was covered in doilies. Like,
The seat was like plastic wrap.
yes, but underneath the plastic wrap was doily.
Oh, was it? I didn't
Everything,
notice
and
that.
it wasn't just like the headrest was doily. Where I'm talking about the entire back seat was doilied. It was just a doilied enclosure with plastic over it.
Which is the standard kind of taxi getup.
Yeah.
Is they doily the back, like it's fully doily.
It's fully doily.
If that is a term. So that wasn't too bad.
That was
We
good.
got in there. There was about 3,000, almost 3,000,
Yeah.
2,700 yen to get out here,
Yeah.
which I felt was a bit steep.
I think it's
because it
pretty
was just about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It took us about 15, 16 minutes to get out here.
Yeah, so that was a bit steep.
Yeah, but luckily
There was no other choice.
Yeah, the tourist office who helped me understand that we missed the bus and the next one was a while, and then told us roughly how
Yeah.
much the taxi was going to
So
cost.
it wasn't a surprise.
It wasn't a surprise. But what was a surprise was on the map that they gave me that this place was called a youth hostel.
Yes.
We shouldn't forget about that.
Nope.
We saw that before the taxi. I think I
Yes.
came out of the tourist office saying to you, I got many interesting tidbits to share with you. The first was we missed the bus, and the next bus was like 2 hours out. Then the next bit of info was the price of the taxi for 15-minute ride. And then the next one was, I can't believe this place is called a youth hostel on the map. Because when I booked this place, it was, I don't want to say sketchy. The place didn't look sketchy or anything like that. It was just,
You can tell you're not booking a luxurious holiday.
well, yeah, if that, but also just booking this place wasn't the most straightforward.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't on hotels.com. It wasn't on the usual suspects in Japan, like Japan ICANN or Agoda or any of those. I don't even remember what it was called, but it was just a weird booking service I've never heard of before. And there was no refunds. Like you book it and you're
That's it.
set. You can't cancel. So it was. I had a bit of stress about booking this place. I was a bit worried about it.
Yeah.
And then when I saw that on the map, I was like really worried.
Yeah.
But we went with it. So we took the cab ride and we got out here, and the scenery was just breathtaking.
Yeah.
Out
The natural
over the
beauty.
ocean, the cliffs, the shoreline, really beautiful.
Has natural beauty going for it, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So the cab pulled up, and this place just looked completely abandoned.
Yeah.
So I was kind of really worried. And then I looked at you, and you were completely shell-shocked.
Yeah. It looked like we had pulled into an abandoned motel.
Yeah, and I kept asking, are you okay? Is everything okay? Are you going to be okay? Don't worry, it'll be fine. It looked good on the pictures, blah, 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 blah. I was just trying to help you ease into this experience.
And then you sent me in on my own to check in.
That was maybe a mistake.
I met some interesting characters. First I met the son who mumbled at me, and then he called his mom, and the mom shuffled out, and
we think it's son and mom.
yeah, we think it's
There's
son.
a family running this place, and we'll meet some more in a bit.
Yeah, so then we met the mom, and that was when you came in, when I was in the midst of filling in a form.
Filling in the usual paperwork you have to fill in Japan when you check into an accommodation. They have to keep all this information on record.
Yeah.
And they usually want the passport.
Yeah, so usually they ask you if it's okay to photocopy your passport, and you first say yes, and they go photocopy it. Or if you're in a more like modern hotel, they have a little scanning machine that they stick into and then scans it. So I'm holding the passport, and she does the paperwork, and she's like, I don't know what she did with the paperwork. It wasn't filed or anything. She just had the paperwork, and she just kind of put it to the side, and then she starts walking out. And then I said, oh, don't forget our passports. And then she said, oh yes, passport, of course. And then she took our passports, and I thought she was going to go to the back with it. And then I think she was like, what should I do with this passport? Then she just opened it, looked at it, pointedly looked at Mike, closed it, opened mine, looked at it, pointedly looked at me, and went, okay. And the thing is, I think she was nearsighted or farsighted, so I think the whole thing was a show.
Yeah, I have no idea. But they're very, very anal generally about taking photocopies or having proof that you are who you are on file, because they have to by law here in Japan. Even when we did our Airbnb for our Tokyo stint, we had to send copies of our passports over to the host before they could confirm the booking. So that was very strange.
I mean, this is the way that she confirmed it. She was like trying to look like that was the procedure, and I'm like, I can tell that's not your usual procedure.
Yeah, well, that was good. We passed the passport check. And then she took us, there's 2 buildings here. So there's the older building, and then they have a newer building. I don't know how new it is. It feels pretty new. But they're 2 separate buildings, and they're not connected. So we had to go outside after I had just brought all the bags in that building. I had to bring them all back out and then into the other building. And she kind of walked us in, and I would never have expected her to try and grab the bags, but she kept looking at them a little bit worried, like she should be. But
the etiquette.
The etiquette should be that the guest is not carrying the bags, but there's no way that she would be. I can't remember if she tried to pick one of the small ones up, and either I really stopped her or she realized what she was doing and put it back down. But that's fine. So we, I carried the bags, and then it was clear that this place is empty. We're the only guests here, so she took us 2 stories in this building. There's some rooms on the main floor. There's the female bath, which doubles as the family bath on the main floor, and then upstairs are 3 or 4 rooms. And then the male public bath, which is shut down right now. It's not even open or operating. And she showed us to our room, which is a really nice room. It's a nice sized room. It's a really comfortable room. It feels really new and clean. And it's really happy with the room. This place is called Misaki Lodge. It does kind of feel like a lodge or a youth hostel. Like it has that vibe going. Like there's communal spaces. And not all the rooms have toilets, because there's public toilets. And but our room has a toilet and a sink, and then we have to use the bath. So
public bath.
Check out the next video for a tour of this lodge in the daylight. By the time we got in today, it was too dark to show you around.
So we dropped our bags off here. She disappeared, and we decided to go out for a walk. And we went out to go see why we came here, which was the coast. And we took a pathway down to a little cape, which kind of stuck out. And there was 4 or 5 old dudes hanging out there, and I'm not sure if they see a lot of Westerners. They didn't act too surprised when they saw me, so they must. But they all just kind of chuckled at us, and then continued on with their conversation. And we just kind of took some pictures, and then walked back out and found another spot where there were some benches, and we sat there and watched the sunset, and that was amazing.
Yeah, it's absolutely, natural scenery is very, very beautiful. And the lodge has grown on us. As well.
I think, it never had to grow on me so much. I think you had to come out of your shell shock, which you have. And then we went for our bath. We came back from the watching the sunset, frozen solid, but just amazing scenery. They have a really cool lighthouse, still functioning. We're watching that spin and this light come around.
There's something very romantic about lighthouses.
Yeah, there is. I don't know how to explain that, but I think you just kind of understand that statement. Came back in here and then went for our bath. Then you saw us sort of going in for our family bath, and now we're going to go down for dinner. That bath made me very hungry.
It made us very red. Is this showing camera?
I don't know. So I'm wondering, is there anything else we missed? This has been a long story, about 15 minutes. Hopefully you've all gotten through it and found it somewhat amusing and interesting.
We were certainly amused.
Let's go down for dinner and then see what happens down there.
Michael, we finally found the beer that you've been looking for. A big one.
I had 3 options: small, middle, and big. And I said, big, please. Yeah, and that's definitely beer.
Did you have fears from one of our previous experiences where you got tiny little thimble of beer?
Yes, totally. I was like, not going to repeat that mistake again. But I think it kind of went the opposite direction. but I am not complaining.
What are we starting dinner off with tonight?
So we have a pretty decent looking spread. I'm really excited to tuck into this. The first dish that I've started on is chicken legs, and they've been braised with some daikon and some cabbage and soy sauce it tastes like, and the chicken just falls off the bone. It's really, really good. Really tender, nice and moist, and nice and warm. It's good.
You know what the chicken reminds me of, or this dish reminds me of?
What?
It reminds me of chicken stew that my mom would make, like a Chinese chicken stew. It feels very, very rustic and home cooking.
The next dish I'm gonna tuck into was just brought out, and it's fish that has been lightly battered and fried, and then it's been topped with something I'm guessing is a spicy mayo. Let me see if I'm correct. Yeah. It's not super spicy, just a little bit of heat. And it also came with one of these Japanese peppers. I love those peppers. Always accompanying like a tempura or this type of a fried food. And the lady who brought it out to us said that this fish was freshly caught today, right out there. Like, I don't see it because pitch black, but the Pacific Ocean is like 5 minutes from us. And that is where this fish came from today.
5 minutes by foot.
Yeah, Nicole says 5 minutes by foot. It's a whitefish. We're not sure what type of fish, but it's a whitefish. And the batter is not crunchy. It just gives it a little bit of a crisp, I guess. But the mayo really makes this shine. It's a really great flavor.
And there's something else about this fish that I like. He sprinkled some kind of like topping on it, but it's one of those, I'm pretty sure it's one of those like pre-made toppings, like a clubhouse or Japanese version of clubhouse seasoning, where you buy one of those shaky things, and inside there's like a variety of spices, and you just shake it on top and it makes the whole thing extra good. So I think that's what he sprinkled on top too. And yummy.
The next dish I'm going to tuck into is a cold dish, which is why I've been waiting to get into this, even though I really wanted to get in there. And it is a bowl of sashimi. It looks like an interesting presentation I haven't had before. I'm not exactly sure what all is in here, but it's a bunch of pieces of raw fish sort of piled up, maybe slightly seasoned already, some nori on top, some green onion, and if we understood correctly, we were instructed to pour the soy sauce over the entire dish. So let's do that and tuck in. All right, here's a mystery piece. I am not sure what this is, but let's give it a try. That is totally squid. That is good. It's like a strip of squid, and because it has been lightly scored. Wow. Probably been scored and then cut up into strips. If you've been following us through this whole series, you'll know that I've fallen in love with squid and octopus. I've always liked it, but I've actually gone out of my way to order it on this trip. And that's a really good one. Let's try another piece in here. I think this is tuna. It's one of my favorite cuts of tuna, nice and lean. Nicole really loves the fatty tuna, but I tend to prefer the lean, dark red tuna, and that was a really nice fresh piece. I think we should check in with Nicole and see what she's finding in her bowl of sashimi.
I'm going to go with this red piece here. I think it's bonito. No. What I like about bonito is that it's a heartier fish. It feels like it doesn't take as much bonito to get full on. If that makes sense. Yeah, it's definitely a heartier fish. It's very fresh. I like what the chef has done because he's sprinkled some kind of like pepper flakes on top. So it's given all the fish has a nice like little bit of spice. Not the traditional wasabi kick, just red pepper flakes.
And sesame.
And sesame, yeah. I like those flavors together, and the bonito goes together really well. Let's see what else we have here. It's a whitefish of some sort. I can't identify this fish. It kind of has a texture of squid, but it's definitely not squid. It's like a combination of fish / squid. It doesn't have a super strong taste. I think the seasoning from the pepper flakes and the sesame kind of overtakes it, but it's very enjoyable in my mouth. Oh, a very successful mystery bowl. The next dish is our piece de resistance. Both me and Mike have been eyeing it since we sat down at the table because that was something that they presented and they started the stove right away. And that is nambe. I'm still working on the fish course, so I'm going to pass this camera to Mike so he can explain to you what nambe is.
Gee, thanks, Nicole. That's going to be a tall order after having this much beer. But I'll give it a try. So nabe, the full name of nabe is nabe mano, and nabe meaning cooking pot, mano meaning thing or things. And it's traditionally served in the colder months, and it's served at the table. You boil it at the table on one of these portable propane sort of stoves, and that's exactly what we have in front of us. It was sitting here when we sat down, this big earthenware dish with the nabe in it and a propane stove. And as Nicole said, they came and turned it on as soon as we sat down. And it's been boiling away, cooking as we've been eating all the other dishes, but it's finally time to tuck into this. And it has a whole variety of ingredients in there usually, and a lot of soup base. So it's kind of a mix between a soup and a stew, I think, for us in the West. So you get a lot of vegetables and some kinds of meat in there, and then this nice rich broth at the end to drink. So Nicole, get me a bowl. We're not quite sure what's in this one, but let me see if I can pick some things out as Nicole is serving it. So there's definitely some cabbage, mushrooms, tofu in there. Looks like there's fatty pork, thin sliced fatty pork. What else we got in there? Nicole says there's some fish in there. Great, thank you, Nicole. So I am going to chow down on this, and then Nicole will update you.
If I seem like I'm not concentrating and I'm looking all over the place and not making eye contact in the earlier segments, it's just because I'm so excited by the food. So I'm trying to pay attention to you, yet I'm trying to put more food in my mouth. So we have gone maybe like 25% into the nabe, and it is really delicious. I really like the stock that they used. I think they put a bit of kimchi flavor in it. I'm not sure, but I'm definitely getting a hint of kimchi flavor, and it's really rich and nice. I love mushrooms, and this dish, there's like at least 4 different mushrooms in there. So I've been gobbling up all the mushrooms. I've been leaving all the nasty cabbage for Mike. He has to deal with those. And the fish I'm kind of partial to, but the pork I love because it's the fatty pork. So I'm trying to discreetly pick out all those pieces while Mike is drinking his beer.
Hey. I agree with Nicole. This nabe is really good, and it's really hitting the spot. It's kind of exactly what I felt like tonight. Something nice and warming, but also something really healthy. Like this feels like a super healthy dish because all the ingredients are really clean, and there's nothing deep fried or any of that kind of stuff. It's just nice, hearty ingredients and really rich broth. And the fish that Nicole said she's about, I think is the same fish that was our fried dish tonight. And we were told it was a mackerel. The mackerel that was caught right outside here. It has a completely different texture having been boiled versus fried, which I guess makes sense, but is kind of surprising to me. This is a little bit denser coming out of the nabe pot. I like the fried version better. But after just saying that this is good and healthy, but I'm really also enjoying the nabe. I feel like I'm healthing up. I'm getting some health into my body after many weeks of abusing it. It's really good.
Nabe reminds me of Chinese hot pot. Main difference being Chinese hot pot, you have all the raw ingredients spread out on the table and you dunk the ingredients as you go along, whereas nabe, all the ingredients has been put in. One of the dangers of having nabe for, say, someone like Michael is that you can have a greedy dinner companion. As I was explaining that I liked the mushrooms and there was 4 different types, Michael said, "What 4 different types? There's no 4 different types." Well, there isn't now because I apparently ate them all. So I'll show you what I did find that's left. We have the inake mushrooms. We have these little mountain mushrooms. This is an evidence of the really good wild mushroom. I ate them all. All I have left is a stem to show you. And the fourth mushroom, there isn't even a stem because I ate that.
I am beyond stuffed. That nabe was really good, and it's fun digging through there and finding all the little surprises in there, all the mushrooms and the fish and the pork. But the best part, I think, is here, and that is the soup. So I've ladled myself a good portion of soup here, and this is probably gonna finish me off. I don't know how I'm gonna get upstairs back to bed. But it's so worth it. The broth is super flavorful from all those ingredients that have been boiling in it. But the taste I get most is the kimchi taste. You get a little bit of that kimchi spice in this. It just tastes so hearty and satisfying after that meal. I really enjoyed everything we had. The chicken legs, the fish, the fried fish, and the nabe. Super good. Nicole wants to say something.
If you follow our videos, especially our videos in Japan, you will hear Mike and I complain a lot about not being quite full when it comes to eating Japanese dinners or Japanese lunches. But this time, we were stuffed stupid. At some point she came out and she pointed to our nabe bowl and she said, "Shall I bring out the rice?" Not in quite those words, but that was the gist. "Shall I bring out the rice?" And we said, "Huh?" And she said, "Yes, I'm going to make a porridge for you now using rice from the kitchen and the materials in your nabe bowl." And we know that is a traditional thing to do, but we both looked at her and said, "Oh God, no!" We're literally holding our stomachs at that point. And adding a bucket of rice to our existing meal would have been too much. I don't know if we can go through with this video. I just want to be horizontal right now.
Yeah, we are sitting on our beds, and I don't want to be sitting. I want to be lying on my bed. That meal was really good and filling, like super filling. I'm going to be honest, I was a little bit concerned about the food after the initial experience that we explained to you before dinner, that whole showing up here and feeling abandoned and we're the only guests, etc., etc. But the food was exceptional. Yeah, it was really good.
The food is good. It definitely was a rustic. It definitely was a lodge.
Yeah.
Lodge meal. It was rustic.
It wasn't a kaiseki ryokan meal, but it was really good Japanese food. It was just more
like, I felt like it was more wholesome and more rustic.
Or like
healthy.
Or like we've been invited over to a Japanese family's place for dinner.
Yeah, that's it.
And they made us dinner.
They made us home cooking.
Yeah, home cooking. There you go. That's what it felt like. And we got to meet the mother. So now we think what's going on is there's a couple, the what you called the son earlier, and now we've met his wife. Really, really nice, sweet lady.
Amazing.
She served us dinner. She helped us with our plans tomorrow and how we're going to get.
She's definitely the personality of this place.
Yeah, because the guy just did not come out at all.
No.
So we met her, and then their son. Yeah. You could hear him in the back, and he sort of poked out once in a while. But then at the end, he came out to clear our table, which was so hilarious.
It was so cute.
I don't think he was meant to do that because then she came out eventually, and then she saw what he was doing, and she just started laughing her ass off.
The way he was clearing at the table, he was so serious. He was tentative. You can tell that it's not his usual job, but you can tell that he had watched his mom do it, so he was trying to do it properly, and he was just the facial expression. It was like he was performing surgery. He was so cute. Oh my God.
It took him a while to warm up to come out though.
Yeah,
like
he kept peeking at us.
He peeked, and then he came out a little bit, and then when his mom was trying to explain the buses, then he came out for a bit. And then eventually he just showed up with this silver tray and cleared the table. Yeah. So that was really funny. And then he started flossing.
Yes.
He was flossing like a maniac. Yeah, you can't do it.
I can't do it. Well, I'm sitting down too, but
thank goodness you're sitting down. We can't see the full absurdity of your flossing.
I'm a good flosser. Oh, and you mentioned the buses. This is what happened with the buses. Originally, our plan was to leave at 12. And when she figured out that we were leaving at 12, but checkout is at 10, she said, you can visit this site instead. And I could see Mike from the corner of my eye going, no. He just wants to take it easy. And I'm like, oh, a site? Please, tell me more about this site.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to take it easy. I just want to get out of here easily. Because she was looking through the bus schedules, all in Japanese.
Very complex.
Google does not know anything about the buses here. If I type in any direction from the train station to here or anything, it's like, sorry, there's no way you can do it. It does not understand.
Because of those community buses that we had mentioned earlier in our segment.
Yeah, so that makes me a little bit uneasy.
Yeah.
That brings me back to 2007 on our first trip when there was no Google Maps, there was no Google, there was no iPhone. And I'm like, I think I've been spoiled and don't want to go back there. But anyways, we might be going back there because she went through and she kind of like figured out how we could do this, and we made notes. And we'll see how we're feeling in the morning. I'm not going to commit.
Okay, do not. She was just wonderful. Like the whole dining experience was nice. Very, very good. The food was good, and she being so accommodating and just concerned that we were going to have a good time made me really like this place a lot.
Yeah. That's amazing. So we're going to put as much information down below about this place and how you can get out here if you want to come relive this crazy experience.
Yeah, just something if you don't want to do something that's been done a lot. If you want to look for a different experience and you don't really want to see other travelers or other
because we haven't yet. Like there's a huge, crazy, weird tourist tower that you're going to see tomorrow. That might draw some people in, but when you see it, you might understand why we think maybe not. But yeah, it's just totally off the beaten path. And that's kind of another reason why I picked it, is to try and do something a little bit more adventurous and have a story like this to share with all of you. It's kind of exciting.
Yeah.
So hopefully you enjoyed today's video. It's a bit of a weird one, bit of a different one, but we're going to go to bed and see what happens tomorrow. So we'll say good night.
Night.
Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed exploring Wakayama City with us, make sure to let us know by giving the video a like down below. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the little notification bell so you don't miss the next episode. We'll see you in the next one.